Ifaw stands for the International Fund for Animal Welfare. It is one of the largest animal rights groups in the world. They have offices in 16 countries and maintained projects in 40. They believe that they see the world as it is and are compelled to make it better. They claim that where others only work to save entire species, Ifaw rescues, rehabilitates and releases individual animals one by one. Furthermore, when others' work focuses exclusively on animals, Ifaw insists that it has been helping animals and people for 50 years. Ifaw was founded in 1969 and the initial aim was to end Canadian seal hunting. So how did that venture turn out for both the seals and the people?
I live in east of Canada. Is a small island called Magdalen Island, and it's we're seal hunters. Seal was actually one of the first emblematic and symbolic species for the anti-use movement, or animal rights group, but I don't think there's anything right about them, so I prefer to call them anti-use. Lots of money poured into saving the baby seal, which was never endangered, no matter how rational you are, and you just cannot impose rational thought on irrational people. And those irrational people sometimes speaks the loudest, because I think the mistake we made back then in the Magdalen Island is to think that, oh, it's gonna go away. Eventually people will see that it's just like any other use of wildlife, and we're doing the right thing. We know how the stocks are. People will see it eventually, but they never did. Not like Inuit people. We were not as badly affected because we had other resources. We had plenty of fish at that time and crustacean, and so we were doing fine. We had gardens and this and that, so we were not as badly affected as the indigenous people, that's for sure, but we were nonetheless. Even at that time, fishermen and hunters were saying, well, listen, if we don't do anything about the seal population, it's gonna grow and grow and grow until there's something unsustainable happening. And good enough, of course the science didn't listen, the government didn't listen. So we went, for example, in the gray seal case, we went from about 5,000 gray seal in East Canada to now over 500,000 gray seal in east of Canada. And that, of course, is a disaster for the biodiversity, because at the same time we saw our codfish declining, we saw our skatefish declining, we saw mackerel, herring, just about anything you can name that seal can eat has been declining since then, even when we put embargoes on fishing. So which means it's, we have an embargo on cod fishing from 92, and it's still going down. So this is not the fisheries fault. And just now the government and the science are behind us finally, oh, okay, you were right, yeah, there's a problem now, but they still don't do anything about it. The seal case was pretty much a good example of other species, and I realized that what went on back then with seals is going on now with elephants, with rhino, with shark, with whales, with, name it, every emblematic species you can think of, charismatic species, as we like to call them. It's happening now. So those groups are raising more and more and more money. They get more and more rich, richer and more influential than ever before. I just hope eventually some people will start to realize it, and it's going to turn around. Hopefully it's going to be like any movement. It's going to be sort of circular, and eventually there's going to be a bunch of young people, bright ones, realizing what's going on and fighting back. But I just hope it's not going to be too late for biodiversity.
Ifaw has spread its tentacles into Zimbabwe. According to a recent press release, Ifaw and Zimbabwe Parks will be working together in the Hwange Matetsi ecosystem. This includes Hwange National Park, Zambezi National Park, and Victoria Falls National Park, and the adjoining community areas. Zimbabwe is the bastion of consumptive, sustainable use of natural resources, including safari hunting. Ifaw's dogma is strictly preservationist, with no utilization whatever. How will these two doctrines coexist, and have Zimbabwe's environmental principles been compromised?